everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I wanted to share my thoughts and perspective on future generations. When it comes to children, it really is up to adults and parents to teach children and to really guide them in the direction that will be best for them. And even though I don't have kids, I can still have an opinion on this, because every day in my life, I think about how my decisions and my actions are going to impact other people, impact the planet, and will impact, people in the future and what people and future generations will have to deal with. Because what I do today absolutely has an effect down the road. So I really just wanted to share with, the people of my generation. I really want to see a positive future, and right now we're not really headed down that path. So I think that all of us need to make changes in our lives right now that are going to have a positive effect instead of continuing down the road we're on. And we really need to teach the younger generations how to do the same. We need to teach them that their decisions and their actions matter, and they do make a difference, and they do have an impact. So, let me just get to it. So I'm going to start by reading you a tweet that I came across that totally clicked with me and I got super excited about because it was kind of gaining momentum. So the tweet was by Ashley Sturgill. Her @handle is absturg. And she said, "Can we as a generation just agree to raise our kids like kids again and not give them iPhones at age 7 and contour kits at age 12? And when I read this, I just couldn't help but smile. I was so happy that someone had said this. It was gaining momentum, and this is exactly what I've been thinking for the longest time, and people are agreeing with it. People are backing up everything that she said and totally agreeing with it. So that brings me to my first point. What we feed to children mentally is basically how they're going to grow up. Their brains at a very young age are mush. We can mold it into whatever it is that we want, because basically everything that they're taught, whether it's positive things or negative things, that's the way their brain is going to be shaped. That's what's going to have an impact on their development. What I see all the time in our generation is parents, when their toddler, for example, gets fussy or is throwing a fit, they sit them down in front of the TV or give them their iPhone so that they can just be content and stop whining and complaining, and the parent, they just don't have to deal with it. This is a huge problem. Instead of being there emotionally for children when they're throwing a fit or when they need something, and that's the only way they can communicate that they need something is by throwing a fit or being cranky and fussy, instead of being emotional support, we're sitting them down to be semi-stimulated in just the most numbing way possible. The greatest way that children learn is by interaction with other people and interaction with objects that they can figure out. And this is another thing right along next to the electronics and the television that we're plopping down our kids with. They're also being given toys that do all the imagining for them. They light up, they make noises, they twirl, and do all these different things, and all the kid has to do is push a button. And that only will keep them content for so long. But if you gave a kid a stand that has like rings on it, they will be content for so long, and they're figuring out that, these different size rings go onto the stand differently. Or if you give them a stack of wooden bowls or metal cups, for example, they'll be figuring things out with different sounds. They'll be figuring out the different sizes and shapes of them and how they can nest together. They're really developing their brain and these motor skills, and hardly anybody is doing this anymore. And no, I'm not a parent, but I've been around kids, I've been around children's toys for pretty much my whole life, and I've seen how it's done. And now I'm seeing people with children, and they're doing the same thing. And it's really difficult for me to watch, because when all the imagining is being done for them, when these children grow up, they're not going to have the imagination strength to come up with solutions to real problems that they'll be facing that we as adults are actually creating for them. And that brings me to my next point. So this second point is about how we lead by example. If we want our children to grow up and have a planet that can sustain them, we really need to watch what we're doing, because everything that children see us do, it basically tells them that it's okay. It's kind of like swearing. If you swear in front of your kid's gonna think it's okay to swear, even though you tell them that's not okay. They're still gonna think like swearing is a thing and swearing is okay because you did it. So if you really don't want your kid to swear, you're gonna lead by example and not swear. Okay, so if children and the youngest generations and future generations are gonna need to grow up to depend on themselves and take care of the earth and not deplete all of its resources, adults and parents really need to be that example. They need to show their kids, hey, we use reusable grocery bags because every time we go to the grocery store, we don't want to waste 30 plastic bags that just go in the trash or a landfill or end up in some animal's stomach in the ocean or wrapped around their head so they suffocate. If we really want children and future generations to have a healthy, clean planet where they can not only live but thrive, we need to lead by example and have reusable items. Quit using Ziploc bags for every sandwich you send them to school with. Get them a sandwich box. They'll understand that, yeah, I get to reuse this every time and nothing goes into the trash. And I think it's so important that we teach kids about where their waste actually goes, because the trash isn't the final destination. The final destination is, a landfill somewhere, or on somebody's sidewalk, or in the ocean, in a bird's stomach, in a whale's stomach. But if we're not teaching kids these things, they're not going to have any idea. They'll continue to do what they're doing, just throwing things in the trash instead of recycling them. If it's a plastic bottle, recycle it. If it's a glass bottle, recycle it. If you have cardboard boxes from your cereal, don't throw it in the trash, recycle it. Teach children about recycling, reusing, and just not consuming. And that brings me to my third point. This next idea is kind of about what we should be teaching children. So if we want kids to have a clean earth and have respect for the earth, they need to kind of know how it works. They need to know, how does food grow? Where does food come from? Do you buy local organic produce whenever you can, or are you always buying genetically modified produce and processed foods that come in bright, colorful packages? Children need to know about health, how to take care of themselves, what's healthy for their body and what's not healthy for their body. And they also need to know what's healthy for the earth and what's not healthy for the earth. Children understand so much. If they're just talked to and explained how things work and why we do the things that we do, they will be way better off. It's crazy the capacity that their brains have. And really whatever we feed to them, they are going to take that in and they're going to remember it and they're going to grow and learn that way and then become adults and they're going to live the way that they were raised. So since they're going to be faced with so many challenges in the future, they need to know about it now. So they need to know about where their food comes from. They need to know about genetically modified foods and how that can be harmful to the planet and harmful to their health potentially. So I encourage everybody, adult or child, to grow plants. We should be teaching children how to grow food, because it's very likely that in their future they're going to have food droughts if we continue on the path we are with genetically modified food and monocrops. They're going to need to know how to do it, and having locally sourced produce in their future, that's going to be a key thing, I think. Not only will their health be better off, but the planet will be better off. Ecosystems in the area that food is grown will be better off. Other wildlife will be better off. So I think it's so crucial that we teach not only kids, but also young adults how to grow food. So please, 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 either grow some plants indoors or start a little vegetable garden. You will be teaching your child something so valuable, and that can never be taken away from them. So basically, this video, I just wanted to share my thoughts on the direction that the planet's heading and kind of the challenges that future generations will be facing. And since many people in my generation have already approached or are, coming up on parenthood, and if we really want the best future for our children and our children's children, we need to start with ourselves. We really need to take a step back and analyze the way that we're living and how our decisions and actions positively and or negatively are impacting future generations and the planet. If we lead by example, then the future really can be a better place. Our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will thank us. They will thank us for being brave enough to actually change our lives. Even though it might be kind of difficult at first, we're doing something that's positive, and it's not just positive for ourselves, it's positive for future generations, and it's positive for the planet. So I hope some of you were inspired by this and can step back and really think about what your children's future will be like if you continue on the path you're on, or if you bring some positive changes into your life, because it won't just be good for you, it'll be good for them. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, share with friends and family, and please don't forget, subscribe. See you next time.